Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. I'm assuming that most of you to this point are well aware of the news, the big news that broke yesterday, which is that the SEC intends to sue Coinbase for their staking services, as well as listing a bunch of cryptocurrencies that they claim are or might be securities, even though the SEC will not tell Coinbase which assets it is that they're referring to. With that breaking, kind of begs the question, is it the case that soon XRP will be the only cryptocurrency that Coinbase can legally list? Because right now, everything else is a damn question mark. Whereas regarding the SEC v. Ripple case, XRP might soon be the only cryptocurrency, certainly the only large cap cryptocurrency on the entire damn planet with legal clarity. That might be the reality we're living in. So think about that. Think about how Coinbase, I think it may have been like 6 days or so after the lawsuit dropped in late 2020. They said, yeah, we're going to be halting the trading or delisting XRP, however they worded it, which happened, I think it may have been January 19th. I'm pretty sure that was the day. I could be wrong. But anyway, it was weeks later in January, so the final transaction on their platform occurred for XRP, at least, unless they relisted ultimately. But it's just so funny to think. They got rid of XRP. That was the only one that they took off their platform ever as a result of the SEC. And now, XRP, depending on what happens with the ruling from Judge Torres, XRP literally might be the only cryptocurrency that Coinbase can legally list and know that they're not breaking the law. Isn't it funny how things can flip like that? So anyway, I want to share with you some stuff from Attorney John Deaton. And by the way, I'll mention this too here, even at the outset of the video. He is going to be listing something publicly from court on March 27th. So we'll get into everything, but before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I'm not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. I'm happy to see this headline from the Crypto Basic, which is, did this pro-XRP lawyer's prediction just come true? And of course, they got a picture of John Deaton on the screen there. And the answer is yes. Because I'm sure everybody in the XRP community knows, John Deaton's been saying this for the longest damn time, that he fully anticipated that the SEC would end up suing a United States-based cryptocurrency exchange. And he said, maybe it's Coinbase, maybe it's Binance. He said, I don't know, but he's going to do it. Maybe multiples of them, actually. And so I just think it's nice that John Deaton, his prediction has proven to be absolutely correct. And it's good to see that crypto media is covering this. And then there's also this headline from the Crypto Basic. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. Ripple counsel on SEC Coinbase legal tussle. And no need to read the article. It was literally just this one sentence here from Stuart Alderati, Ripple's chief legal counsel. And he literally, it's just that. He wrote, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So with the SEC being the enemy of Ripple, and the enemy of Coinbase, obviously now Ripple and Coinbase are best friends and they hold hands together. So it's certainly the case. And look, I am glad to see that Coinbase, even before we got the news of this imminent lawsuit happening, because it was a Wells notice yesterday. But look, and I'll just mention this too in case you guys didn't, if you're not fully up to speed. It's worth knowing here. Kim Jong-Gensler has the votes to bring this lawsuit against Coinbase. So it is going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, it's a 99.999% certainty that this is going to happen. But a Wells notice is just a letter effectively in a nutshell stating, hey, we intend to sue. That's effectively it in a nutshell. And then there's a chance to rebut. Although in the case of what's happening here, what do you even rebut when the SEC won't tell you what the hell you're doing wrong? But yeah. So anyway, it was good to see Coinbase file that amicus brief in the Ripple lawsuit. Even I think they should have been much more vocal, but they did do it to their credit. Legal filings were winding up, and there were 17 amicus briefs initially filed, or requests to be filed anyway initially. And now it turns out, not only might it be the case that XRP is the only large cap coin that Coinbase could legally list and know for sure that they're not breaking any laws. It's certainly, somebody started calling me and that distracted me. Thank you, spam risk. Not only that, but it is the case that, once we get this case winding down with the SEC v. Ripple, that could provide some serious ammo for Coinbase. But still, this is so astonishing. You guys familiar with John Reed Stark? I've highlighted him a handful of times on my channel. He used to work at the SEC, and he's one of the few former SEC employees that just thinks that everything that the SEC does is basically spot on. Not literally everything, but he's a down with crypto, SEC's right when it comes to crypto type of guy. He just is. It doesn't make sense. It's not rational. It's not logical, but it's such a rare thing to see somebody come out of the SEC, like an attorney no less, who continues to believe the things that the SEC espouses after leaving, because usually they only believe those things. Isn't that kind of convenient? Only believe the things that they're arguing while they're at the SEC, but then suddenly when they leave, they're either quiet or they start singing a different tune. Isn't it funny how that kind of works? But anyway, John Reed Stark shared the story about Coinbase, receiving their Wells notice, and he wrote, "As I predicted, the U.S. SEC wants to hit Coinbase with charges relating to assets listed on its crypto platform and its staking and wallet services. Not surprisingly at all, really. In my humble opinion, Coinbase presents a veritable driver's ed film of securities violations." Oh, is that right? A veritable driver's ed film of securities violations. Well, Attorney John Deaton clapped back, which I was happy to see, and said, "John, you cannot have this position unless you're also willing to blame the SEC itself for granting an IPO 2 years ago. These assets didn't magically turn into securities since the IPO. The US cannot have a system that every time there's a new chairman, we have to guess." Golf clap for Attorney Deaton. Now, that is absolutely spot on. And I'll even just highlight this. I don't feel the need to read the story, but the other news, big news, SEC-wise, that broke yesterday, which, here's the headline on it. XRP fate may now befall Tron, TRX, as SEC sues Justin Sun, a BitBoy ponders, and they shared his perspective in this. But there are a bunch of, and you guys may have heard the story by now, but so the SEC going after Justin Sun, as well as celebrities that were apparently paid to promote this, like Lindsay Lohan and Jake Paul, and there are a bunch of rappers, Soulja Boy, all that stuff. But I'm just sitting here like, because like I've said many times, it pisses me the hell off that the SEC attacked Ripple, which is equivalent to an attack on XRP holders. You saw what happened to the price of XRP in 2020. After they did that, and I still think that the price of XRP is artificially suppressed as a result of all that. But I've said many times, in addition to me having that concern, in terms of what's going to happen in that case, I'm also still worried about all of the rest of my cryptocurrency. What happens when the SEC attacks other cryptocurrencies? It goes down to, well, I happen to hold Tron. Not a crazy amount of it, but I've been holding it since either November or December of 2017, over half a decade. I'm a long-term guy when it comes to holdings. And it's interesting to see. So there was, upon the news breaking yesterday, you can see it on the screen. This is the Tron price. This is a 7-day chart, but you can see straight off a cliff. It's almost fully recovered at this point, which is interesting. But still, I don't like the SEC picking winners and losers for me. Absolutely not. I just want cryptocurrencies to compete in an open market. That's pretty much it here. Is that really too much to ask? I feel like the biggest threat to my crypto holdings isn't that, a lot of them won't be adopted long term, although I think that's probably true. I think the biggest threat is, for me, being in the United States, is the government. It's the SEC ruining the opportunity and pushing innovation overseas. That's how I see it. And then there was also this. Bitcoin Magazine tweeted out earlier today, breaking: SEC warns that companies offering crypto asset investments or services may not be complying with federal securities laws. Oh, fun times. And so Attorney Deaton retweeted that, and he said, "This is all scare tactics to cause damage and help incumbents. The list of financial assets, e.g. stock, bond, note, that the 1934 Securities Act includes, does not include the following: token, digital asset, alphanumeric code, or software code. The applicable term is investment contract, and that is why you hear the Howey test so much. In 76 years since Howey was decided, there isn't a single case the SEC can cite to that has found a subsequent sale of an investment contract to also be an investment contract. When the Howey Company sold the orange groves along with the service contracts to an investor, that direct sale was an investment contract. If the Howie investor turns around and sells the orange groves to me, and I don't know S word about the Howie company or the circumstances surrounding the original sale, I did not acquire an investment contract, aka a security. Full stop. If I buy Bitcoin or XRP or ETH off Coinbase, I'm not relying on Satoshi or Brad Garlinghouse, Vitalik Buterin, or Coinbase to make a profit. Receiving staking rewards off Coinbase may be closer, but I don't believe the type of staking through Coinbase meets the test. And so I think he's absolutely spot on, unquestionably there. And then there was also this. Attorney Deaton tweeted this out just a few hours ago. I'm reading the transcript from the library hearing I participated in on behalf of Naomi Brockwell as amicus. I reminded the judge that the word clarity was used 16 times, and the judge responded, a lot of them by me. The issue was the injunction being sought by the SEC included all persons in active concert. I argued that particular language was so broad and vague that the SEC would likely argue the injunction applied to all LBC holders who received LBC from library. When I brought up that, I included, I think it's Lewis Cohen. Let me check the tag. Yeah, Lewis Cohen, attorney Lewis Cohen. When I brought up that, I included attorney Lewis Cohen's massive article as a full exhibit to my brief. The judge informed me that he had already read the article before I had submitted it. Kudos to Lewis. Yeah, and that's something that's impactful because the massive article, it was called something like the ineluctable modality of crypto or digital assets or something to that effect. And it was, I believe, in excess of 100 pages. I've cited it a handful of times on the channel before. And it makes the case that if you look back at all the securities law going back to the 40s, every decision that's been made since then never held that secondary market sales constituted investment contracts. So it's like, it's the case that if you're citing that, the asset itself is the investment contract, that's where you are going against the grain. If you're a judge pushing that, you're the first judge in the history of the planet to state such a thing. And so what judge is going to want to do that? And even if a judge does that, what happens when you get to another court above that? What happens if it's a district court? What happens when you get to an appellate court? What happens if it makes it to the Supreme Court? It gets swatted down. We're just going to have to wait years, potentially, almost certainly, for a lot of this stuff to play out. Now, the good news is for XRP holders, the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit might be completely finished sooner. There is the opportunity for appeals, so fingers crossed. But we have an opportunity for this to be over sooner than later, at least. And then Attorney Deaton also wrote, on March 27th, I will publish the transcript from the November 21st, 2022 library hearing. 2 things. And that's what I was talking about at the outset of the video, so I'll be happy to cover that when that is published on March 27th. And he says, number 1, the public will become even more outraged versus SEC. Number 2, the words spoken directly to the judge by Jeremy Kauffman, that's of course the founder of the library, will highlight the plight of the American blockchain entrepreneur. I wish I could release a transcript from the January 30th hearing that I participated in, but local rules don't allow it. So we got to wait for that deadline of March 27th, but we're going to get it, and I will be happy to comb through that and make a video covering that. But I've been curious for the longest time what exactly is in there, so we'll see. So anyway, it's just weird to think it's what's happening. And so, look, I'm still in full support of Coinbase on this specific topic. I'm disgusted by them in terms of how they treated the XRP community, specifically in terms of not giving airdrops to holders that are entitled to, the Flare airdrops and Songbird. Totally disgusted by that. But when it comes to the SEC action, we got to stand in solidarity. I will continue to do that here. But, look, they're at the beginning of this lawsuit. It's in all probability. I mean, they haven't even filed the damn thing technically. So we're looking at potentially years of this with Coinbase. I'm just hoping that in the meantime, sooner than later, we end up seeing XRP listed, and especially if we get a good ruling, that at least for the sake of being consistent, Coinbase, in that case, you need to relist XRP. So we'll see. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.